So, Phoenix Suns season preview. Last year they finished with a 51-21 record, and they're the second seed in the West. In the first round, they beat the Lakers in 6 games, though Anthony Davis did go down with an injury in Game 4, and LeBron James was not 100%. Then in the second round, they swept the Nuggets, who didn't have Jamal Murray. Then in the conference finals, they beat the Clippers in 6, who didn't have Kawhi Leonard or Serge Ibaka. And then in the finals, they lost to the Bucks in 6. So even though there were some injuries, it was still a very impressive playoff run. And Ayton and Devin Booker both took steps forwards. And yeah, it was a good run. This offseason, they added JaVale McGee, Elfrid Payton, and Landry Shamet. And they lost Torrey Craig. And they've re-signed Chris Paul, Cameron Payne, and Frank Kaminsky. But they're yet to extend DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges, so we'll see when that happens. If I look at projected starting lineup, at point guard, Chris Paul, last season, 16 points, 9 assists, and 1.4 steals a game. I think his playmaking is obviously massively important, as is his leadership, controlling the pace of the game, and how he plays with DeAndre Ayton, and just his ability to run an offense and make the right pass is really, really good. And then we saw in the playoffs he can also take over scoring down the stretch with his mid-range jumpers and his pick and roll game. Very, very tough to defend and very, very effective. So, I'd expect him to continue to do that. I think, one of the questions is obviously him aging as he goes into his, mid to late 30s. So we'll see how he ages. He's not a player who relies overly on his athleticism. I think it's more just health and injuries rather than, loss of athleticism, things like that are going to be worrying for Chris Paul. But, I don't see why he can't keep playing at a pace where he is the point guard and he can facilitate for, the early parts of the game, and then can take over late with his mid-range and his craftiness and his experience. At shooting guard, Devin Booker. Last year, he averaged 25.5 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Just his shot creation and shot making. We saw in the playoffs how he took a big leap, being able to shoot off movement, being able to shoot off the dribble, being able to play in the pick and roll, being able to run handoffs. The Suns have a lot of creative offensive play designs, often include Booker screening, then flaring out for a three-pointer, and things like that. So, I'd expect him to continue to be able to do those things. One interesting thing is that he did only shoot 34% from 3 in the regular season. So we'll see if he can improve on that. Just getting his percentage up. I think, most of the looks he takes are fine, maybe a few less contested ones. And then maybe his playmaking too has room to improve. We'll see, how much more responsibility he takes on this year. We'll see how much, it's him versus Chris Paul. I know they like to stagger those two, so we'll see if Booker can take a leap playmaking wise and continue to be very good. Mikal Bridges, last year he averaged 13.5 points, 1 steal, and 1 block while shooting 43% from 3. I think, right now he's one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA, still so young, can guard multiple positions and guard positions well, and then he's obviously a great catch-and-shoot guy. I think the question is if he can do more than that, because I think there is reason to assume he can improve between some of his off-the-dribble things. A few times he's pretty comfortable pump faking and taking a dribble for a mid-ranger or a sidestep for a three-pointer. He's also had a few good pieces of off-ball movement, whether it's just relocating or, when Devin Booker was getting doubled, he flashes to the free throw line to get a mid-ranger. So we'll see if he can keep improving his off-the-dribble game, or, if he's just still more of a 3-and-D guy who spots up a lot. Jay Crowder. Last year, he averaged 10.5 points while shooting 39% from 3. Similar to Bridges, he's a 3-and-D guy. I think Crowder's a bit more streaky, so we'll see if he continues his good shooting. I think, his toughness and his experience were obviously very important for the run last year, so, I'd expect that to continue. And yeah, I think he's still a good player for the Suns, and fits what they're doing, fits well because he can space the floor and because he provides experience and toughness defensively. DeAndre Ayton, who last year averaged 14.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, and 1.2 blocks a game, but obviously had a massive emergence in the playoffs, proving he can play against the top centers, being really good defensively against Jokic in that series, being able to run the floor, set screens, and proved he can be a very valuable player in the playoffs. So we'll see if he can continue to do that. Continue to be a good rim protector defensively, continue to set good screens and roll to the rim, and then maybe some more offensive development. We'll see if they give him more post touches, if he shoots a few more jumpers, or if he's more doing just the classic center things, which he has become very good at and very reliable at. Off the bench, Cameron Payne, he averaged 8.5 points and 3.5 assists last year, was also good in the playoff run, just giving them some shot creation and some, just a bit of juice, a bit of playmaking off the bench, and I expect him to continue to do that. We'll see how big a role he has. I think it will be correlated with how much Chris Paul plays. Landry Shamet, who they acquired, 9 points a game last year, another shooter, which I think is a good thing. Around Ayton, I think this team is really good spacing, and I think that's part of the reason why they're such a good team, because they have the 3-point shooting threat, and they know how to create them too, whether it's, plays of Booker coming off screens, or, just having smart players like Crowder and Bridges who know how to relocate. Cam Johnson, last year he averaged 9.5 points. I think he could even start over Jay Crowder. He's also a very good shooter at his size. I'd expect him, he's a really solid player off the bench or even starting at the power forward or small forward. He can guard multiple positions and can space the floor too. Frank Kaminsky, who I think it's fine for like a few minutes here and there, though I wouldn't want him playing too much more than that, but I think, it's good to have another big body who can just be solid on both ends. And JaVale McGee, who's a very good backup, I thought was a good addition. 7 points and 5 rebounds a game last year. And he just does the things that Ayton can also do in terms of protecting the rim, setting screens. So I think that was a good acquisition, especially with Dario Saric being out for the season. Getting JaVale McGee, who can be a solid big guy for them. So overall, I think this is a good, solid team. If I had to predict a seeding, I'd say the 3 seed. I think they're going to do the things Chris Paul teams do. They're going to play at a slow pace. They're going to generate a good amount of 3-pointers. They're going to limit turnovers, and they're going to be solid defensively. And that amounts to a good regular season team. I'd expect them to be a top 3 seed. And I think they can be a threat to win the West. I think they're probably a bit behind the Lakers just on star power. And then I think if the Nuggets are healthy with Jamal Murray, I'd put them ahead of the Suns. But after that, you get a few injuries. Maybe Ayton or Booker or Bridges takes more of a step. And I think the Suns will be right there competing for the West. So, yeah, I think they're in a good spot to, keep improving because they do have some young guys and being a really solid team. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.